Hello everybody, welcome to Mixed Energy, Formula Online Racing for tonight's race around the Autodromo Nazionale Monza. Some of you may have been watching the SpaceX rocket launch, and around this circuit, Formula One cars aren't too far off rockets themselves. It's round 14 of the F1 Championship. It is the Italian Grand Prix. I'm Luke Etheridge, and joining me tonight for her FOR commentary debut, it is Jess. Jess, how are you doing?
I'm good tonight, thanks, and it's great to kick off my debut at such a fabulous track, the Tempest Speed in Monza.
Yeah, first on the Formula One calendar in 1950. The only season it missed was 1980, where the Italian Grand Prix took place at Imola instead. As you said, the Temple of Speed. Still fearsome circuit. 11 corners, spending more time on full throttle here at any other track. Expect to see a lot of slipstreaming in qualifying. That happened in the 2019 Grand Prix, and it pretty much backfired for everyone. So these guys will be hoping they get it a bit better than the professionals managed to do. If you weren't with us last week for the Belgian Grand Prix, it was Josh who took his second win of the season, continuing his 100% podium record here at FOR. It was a second place in the end for Dezo, who got promoted from third. Westy got promoted onto the podium at the expense of Fairhand Racer. He overtook Westy illegally under the VSC and was dropped down to fourth place, but still a good result for the German on his full-time debut. Paulie Orange coming home in fifth position. That means he retains a 6-point lead in the championship over Westy, but he's now got Josh just 6 more points back as well. Things getting incredibly hot at the top of the standings, and Italy, Jess, always a race that seems to provide great racing action.
Yes, there's many corners which we expect to watch out for. One particular turn one is where we may see a few overtakes and possibly a few incidents in the first corner, so we need to keep an eye out on that. And obviously the two DRS zones, one from the Parabolica to the start finish straight and one just before Ascari as well. And maybe we may see some overtakes around the Lesmos too. So it's pretty much mostly full throttle, but there's some where you have to go fully on braking as well, which just makes it so exciting. But this is one of those tracks where having a teammate is pretty much crucial in getting a good lap in any of the qualifying sessions.
Yes, definitely. You need to have some good teamwork. Renault have shown that so far. They have now taken the lead in the Constructors' Championship on 194 points. Haas just 17 points further back. That championship still incredibly close, first to last, only separated by 105 points. So realistically, you could still say any team could win that, but Renault are looking mighty, and we're now on board with one of the reasons why Josh going for his first hot lap in this qualifying session, coming down now towards the Rettifilio chicane. Nearly 220 miles an hour, that's about 350 kilometers an hour as you brake hard down towards first gear, short shifting to give yourself the best optimal traction, heading now towards turn 3, the Curva Grande. Flat out through here, I expect to see a lot of side-by-side action in the race as the cars decide which way to attack into the Roggia chicane at turn 4 and 5, just after the end of the first sector. That gravel on the exit can be unforgiving, can easily snare the car. And next it is the two Lesmo corners, turn 6 and turn 7. Important to get a good exit around this one. He's going to the second DRS zone of the circuit, heading downhill slightly as go underneath the old fearsome Monza banking towards the Ascari chicane. Left, right, left. Very easy to invalidate a lap at this part of the circuit, and as I say that is exactly what Josh has done. And the Ascari chicane, Jess, can prove to be really tricky to get right in qualifying.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a few people invalidate there myself. I've done that quite a few times as well. So it's very, very tricky, and he's not going to get much time to get a good lap in as well, and it's not going to help people around him as they got to move out the way of Josh. And I don't think Josh is going to have a huge advantage compared to his other rivals, because obviously we've got Westy. Obviously Westy in the Williams, obviously he is not taking part in qualifying. He's going to join excuse me, at the back of the grid in the race, so he won't be taking part in any. He just got to do a few things as well, but you know, I think that's going to give who's in the Williams, Paris actually, sorry, not Josh, but Paris is going to have a huge disadvantage. I don't know who else won't have their teammates there. I think there's one driver that's missing, We got quite a few reserves as well. As we've got another victim of Ascari, of Drofter in the Mercedes as well.
Yeah, Drofter's not finding things going to plan for him so far. Was leading the championship at one point, but he's lost part of his front wing. He's always consistent, always seems to recover to get back into the points, and luckily for him, this circuit is a circuit that he can overtake on, so expect to see him move up in the race. His teammate Erhan, who is currently in top slot in this first qualifying session, he's going to have to recover down the order as well. He's just got a 5-second penalty for illegal blocking. So we'll go on board then with Thomas, see what he can do. Won his first 2 races, retired in Hungary, and then a 6th place in Belgium. He seems to enjoy coming from further back on the grid. Could have had a podium last time out, but him and Desso tangled and the McLaren driver came off worse. He's definitely not shown his best pace in qualifying, but we know he's a fantastic overtaker.
Yeah, he is. I've seen him in other leagues as well. He usually tends to dive it around the inside at times and just going for audacious moves that I've never even heard of. He takes so many risks, and it worked out very nicely, and that's why ILRT has actually signed him as well. He was purple in first and second sector as well, and doing really well in the Ascari too, on those soft compounded tyres. So maybe it's going to be enough to possibly beat second or third. Pedro goes into second place right now. Let's see what Thomas can do when he comes across the line to set his first lap. A 1:19.0, that does beat Pedro's time. A 1:19.3, that puts him in second place, which is about a few tenths behind Ferhan.
Yeah, very close indeed at the top of the order between them two. Pedro, pole sitter in Hungary. He'll be hoping to recover after a DNF last time out. As Jess mentioned, we do have a few reserves. Both of the Red Bulls being filled by reserve drivers tonight. We've got Cassie G, who made his F2 debut as well around this circuit on Tuesday, and Flip Flop Fish. Both these drivers do have serious pace. As Verhan has retired from the session, he should be safe now with that time. We've also got Loney reserving in the Toro Rosso. Paris, as we mentioned, he's a reserve in the Williams. 2 new drivers for Ferrari that will be taking full-time seats now. Infamous Pillars and Silent Ace will be hoping to get the prancing horse off the bottom of the championship. And if there's any circuit where Ferrari need to perform, it is this one, as Paris has just become the fastest man in this session on the medium tyres with a 1:19.981. We've got a bit of a record here at FOR with debutants doing extremely well, and knowing what we know about Paris, it wouldn't be surprising to see him up near the sharp end of the order in this race.
Definitely not, and obviously they work together with Westy quite well as well, so expect a good few bits of teamwork in the race as well. And I've known him to be a very quick driver as well. He's taken quite a few wins in other leagues too, but I won't be surprised if he gets a podium here today, potentially in Monza, because he's just good at getting a mega lap in, and whatever tyres he goes on, he's quick. 1:19.9 on the mediums, I can't even do that, so hopefully he could get faster on whatever compounded tyre. Now, I didn't see anyone on the hards. I've just had confirmation from one of the drivers that we've got a wet race on our hands.
Ooh, that's going to make things very exciting indeed. Thanks for that information, Josh. He's currently third. Paulie Orange has also retired from the session. He's only in 15th of the championship leader. Seeing what his teammate Iraj can do in the Haas. He's another reserve driver making his first appearance in the series since Monaco. You can't really get two more wildly different tracks than Monza and Monaco, so let's see what sort of time the Haas driver can do, because if he does set a quick time, he needs a 1:20.171. so Paulie Orange, after crashing out, 15th is the best he will be able to do. Even if he's good enough to get through to the next session, he will not take any further part, and that is a big blow for his hopes of keeping the championship lead in this race. Westy and Josh have been reeling him in. Westy, he'll be starting from the back, 6 points behind Paulie Orange, and Josh, he'll be aiming to take full advantage by getting another victory, possibly from pole position. He is currently just 12 points off, and you've got to say, with the form Josh has been in, would you possibly put him as favourite for the championship?
Yeah, I think so as well. Podium streak since his debut in France, that's just absolutely amazing, and I haven't seen anyone do that in quite a while. And if you see a driver on the podium for all their races they competed in, then that's a sign of a driver that's going to compete for the title, that's for sure. And with Paulie Orange's poor form, not getting podiums for a while, he got an 11th place in Great Britain. Obviously in Germany got no, not 11th place, he got 11 points, sorry. No, 11th place. I'm trying to get used to the stats, it's quite difficult. But, you know, it is quite hard for him to get his consistency, but Josh is showing that consistency is key right now, and obviously Westy as well. The only podium he did not get was in Hungary, so I think Westy can come back into form, but if Westy has another bad race and doesn't recover from starting last, then Josh could pick up the pieces.
Yeah, Westy did have to come from the back of the grid at Hungary to finish in 5th. Didn't have an optimal strategy in Belgium where he managed to sneak a podium, so quite a few drivers pretty happy with their lap times at the moment. Hibilu, Artiero and Infamous Pillars in the danger zone with the Ferrari driver. We are on board with now the only driver yet to set a competitive lap time. Paulie Orange, he won't be taking any further part either after his accident, so we'll have to see how he can recover in the race. With 7 minutes to go in this first qualifying session, it's Ferhan, Thomas, Josh, Pedro and Loney, your top 5 at the moment, and Infamous Pillars in this Ferrari. And as I said earlier, Jess, any race where Ferrari needs to do well, it is Monza. Like the Tifosi pretty much gain you an extra couple of tenths of a second.
Yeah, definitely, and I can see the crowd cheering right now. I mean, everyone was cheering last year when obviously Charles Leclerc won in Monza, and to be honest, even though I wasn't much of a Leclerc fan, everyone wanted Charles Leclerc to win that week. I mean, he won in Belgium, but he didn't really get to celebrate it, but the track that you got to win your second race, and that is Monza, it's just amazing. You can see Charles Leclerc's face. It will just be nice for the Ferraris just to get out of the bottom row and actually get some good results and get some good points and give something for the Tifosi to cheer about.
Yeah, definitely. Infamous Pillars moving off the foot, but only by 1 place. He is 17th. Car number 12, and I know we always associate Gilles Villeneuve with car number 27, but he actually won more races for Ferrari with that number 12, so it has definitely been successful for the Scuderia over the years. See what Andenge is doing as he's just cruising back to the pits at the moment in 11th place. We'll be interested if Pavis and Flip Flop Fish head out again. What sort of times will they be able to set on the soft tyres? Two very quick drivers indeed, both reserving, so not really got any championship to worry about, so they'll just be fighting as hard as they can to get the best possible results for themselves, for pride more than anything, but also for the team in the Constructors' Championship. Jonathan Cox heading on an out lap now. Let's see what he can do. The sole racing point tonight, and Jonathan Cox, he's really, since Monaco, when he had a fantastic qualifying session, he's another one of those drivers where things just for whatever reason haven't gone to plan. He's clearly a very quick driver. He's showing that in this qualifying session so far, and we've seen it predominantly in F2 we should say since then, but he's someone else who could really do with a good performance just to boost his morale more than anything and give him a bit more confidence.
Yeah, he had a few podiums at the start of the season, and then after that it's gone downhill for him. Maybe it may just be track related, or maybe he's just not feeling confident in terms of the weather conditions, and he's not going to like there's going to be a wet race on the horizon, because he's probably going to struggle, or maybe he can take advantage of that. Maybe due to the safety cars, we'll have to wait and see. But obviously, if he gets through to Q2, he can go on the softs anyway, no matter what the conditions, because the softs, you can either do softs to mediums or mediums to softs on dries, and it doesn't really matter. But it also depends on qualifying. And no, he's not taking part in qualifying. He's another person to Bennett and Ascari, and that's a nasty shunt. I just commentated cursed him there. And he's 14th for now, but we've still got 3 drivers who could improve and could knock Jonathan out of qualifying if he's not careful.
Yeah, and one of the Red Bulls having to take big evasive action. That was Flip Flop Fish, luckily getting away without any damage. So that's Jonathan Cox's qualifying session over as well. So 14th, the best he'll be able to do. Artiero's just backed out. He's happy with his time so far. Dvoftas as well. So will we see many more improvements? Flip Flop and Pavis Burrell could definitely improve. And in fact, Pavis has gone purple in Sector 1 so far. Needs to find a second on the soft tyres, which is very doable around here. With it being a wet race, we are probably going to see everyone in Q2 go for the soft tyres, and because it's such a low downforce circuit, that makes driving in the wet even more tricky, because you don't really want to bolt on lots more front and rear wing to give you that extra grip, just because you'll be so slow on the straights.
Especially for a Sky as well, if you have that amount of downforce on your car, you're probably going to bin it, and that's what these guys have got to think about as well. Most of these guys will be on wet setups as well if it's a wet race, so that means that their times may not be as fast as normal, but we'll have to wait and see. As Paris is looking to improve it, he is improving, but I'm sure of it, and it's a 1:19.0 that puts him P3, not that far behind Thomas actually, so pretty good going.
Yeah, he'll be happy with that. That should be him safely through. Flip-Flop Fish was another driver who went on the mediums early on. Now, just to ensure he gets through, changing to the soft tyres. He's finding improvement as well, so this should be good enough to get him through. It's currently Alan, Hibilu and Infamous Pillars looking like they could be heading out. Surprising to see Alan down there. He's had a couple of podiums so far this season, but seems to be struggling around this Monza circuit, and Flip-Flop Fish does go up into 5th place, so he'll be happy with that lap. Paris and him will be heading into the pits. We've got Cassie G just starting another hot lap, currently just 4 tenths ahead of Alan. So if it's a big improvement for the McLaren driver, we could see the Red Bull get into a bit of trouble, and that is why they're feeling the need to go out again. Silent Ace also heading out for another lap. We're getting into the final couple of minutes of this qualifying session. What can Alan do? Can he put any pressure on those ahead of him? Doesn't need to find much improvement to get himself out of the bottom, and he moves up there to 12th position. So that is Ireg, who is still in the pit. Looks like he's going to be heading out. He's just going on to an outlap now. He's going to have to get a skate on and get around this circuit pretty quickly.
Yeah, we don't want a real-life Monza situation where he doesn't actually get to set a final lap, because if he doesn't, then possibly the likes of Reggie and Infamous possibly can improve, and you don't want that. So I don't think he's going to have enough time to actually go out. So that is a bit worrying, but obviously Abraham has left it all to do right now. He's on 2 laps softer tyres, but I don't know what the cut-off point really, potentially you've got to be in the 119s to make sure that you are safe. If you are in the 120s, then to be honest, I think it's best say you got to go out again, otherwise you'll possibly use your chances. And wow, we got a Sauber, an Alfa Romeo and a Toro Rosso. They're going out now. I mean, I think they're not going to make it unless they cut the corners. I think that's their qualifying done.
Yeah, they're not going to make it, so I'm not quite sure why they're heading out onto circuit. Maybe just getting a bit more practice, maybe just around here. We'll have to see. Or maybe just slightly saying Hibilu's just started his lap at the moment, down in 17th place. He's just starting a hot lap. Maybe Loney's going to give him a bit of a slipstream. We'll have to see, but looks as though they've not really timed this right in the Toro Rosso team, I must say. Not an ideal line. He's definitely getting a lot of help through the curve for Grande there, and he has found a bit of an improvement, but not sure the Toro Rosso that was the best planned, and indeed he's actually invalidated his lap. So it looks like Hibilu's out. Infamous Pillars looks like he could be in trouble as well in the Ferrari. He's made an improvement in the second sector, but needs a lot more than that. Checkered flag is out. He's in the drop zone, as is Hibilu, as is Ireg at this moment. Everyone else will have finished. Cassie G moved up into 5th place. Great start to his FOR career as a reserve. Red Bull looking very handy tonight, I must say. So what can Infamous Pillars do in the Ferrari? Can he get himself into the second qualifying session? It's an improvement, but it's only enough to move him ahead of Hibilu. Ireg in the Haas now. He's going faster. We know Hibilu won't be able to improve as he invalidated his lap. And Denge got a podium in Hungary, and he could find himself going out in Q1. The Alfa Romeo driver left it too late in the session. Only one corner to go for the Haas driver around the Parabolica. Just going to give it all you got on the exit. Seems to have kept it fairly smooth through there. Can he find himself moving up in this session and get the Haas into Q2? He has done so. So Andenge is out. We've seen Hibilu, Infamous Pillars out. Jonathan Cox we shot crash. But the big news, Paulie Orange crashed out in that session, and he will be taking no further part. Furhan was fastest, but he has that 5th place penalty to overcome, and also has a Q3 ban, so going to be a really big fight from the back of the grid for him. Thomas was 2nd fastest, Paris was 3rd fastest in that session, And there we go, down the order. We see Jonathan Cox and Paulie Orange. They'd crashed. Jonathan Cox's time would have been enough to get him into the next part of qualifying. And Infamous Pillars and Hibilu, the other drivers, getting knocked out. And actually, never mind that, and then just made it through. Obviously, because of those guys crashing out. Ignore what I said. The Alpha's just snuck in there by the skin of his teeth.
That was very, very close to him not making it. But to be honest, those crashes have probably saved that Alfa Romeo driver, and he probably will be thanking them as we head into Q2. And Q2 is even more crucial, because if you don't make it through to Q2, you're not going to have a chance of pole position. And in a normal dry session in the race, the tyres that you set your fastest lap on in Q2 will be the tyres that you start the race on. But they can start on whatever tyre they want to in the wet race. I think it most likely will be Inters. So they can go on the softs, or potentially most people would probably go on the softs if they have enough softs left. So that's a no-brainer for them, as only one person has probably cleared the mediums at the moment. We've got one car already going out already. I think I saw an Alpha, and I think there's a Renault going out as well. So they want to get their session done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, trying to make best use of the free air. It's Andenge on those medium tyres. Maybe just saving the softs in case it dries up towards the end of the race, or just getting a bit of a sighter run on these medium tyres, depending what tyres he has picked, of course, because all the drivers before the qualifying session get to pick their allocation of softs, mediums and hards, and it is the middle three of the Pirelli range that are brought to this circuit. No real high downforce, high wear corners, probably Ascari and Parabolica being the heaviest loads on the tyres. It is all about straight line speed and that mechanical grip. You need a lot of confidence under braking around this circuit and good traction to set a fast lap time. It was Fairhand Racer who was fastest in that last session. Josh up there as always. Can he get another pole position? He'll have to get through this qualifying session first. And both Red Bulls doing really well. They'll be quite happy with that performance. Things haven't gone to plan for Borussia in his championship challenge. He seems to have dropped back a bit. Dynastic's only picking up 1 point in the 2 races he's been here. So Red Bull will be pretty happy with how they're doing tonight. Flip Flop Fish and Cassie G showing some real form.
Yeah, definitely. I think the full-time drivers that are not here are going to really benefit from their help as well. Maybe they could give them a little bit of advice as well, because obviously I've known Cassie G to be really fast as well around Monza, so that's probably why he wanted to race this track as well. And he's going to help Flip Flop Fish with the toe, that's for certain, in Q2 as well. And I'm almost certain that they might be both on the, well, Cassie G might be on the bubble potentially into making it, or Flip Flop Fish as well. I nearly bottled that name, but there we go. But yeah, it's good. It's going to be a tough one, as if you don't make it through into Q2, that's really going to cost you, especially around there, because you don't really want to get caught up in the turn 1 shenanigans, as Flip Flop Fish is starting his flying lap, as well as I think Cassie G's going through a sky. So yeah, Flip Flop Fish is about to start his lap as well, and a few other drivers. I think I see a McLaren as well ahead as well, and the other Red Bull is just about to start as well, almost going through the Parabolica.
Yeah, Flip Flop Fish did really well in the F2 here, took a victory and a podium in the feature race and the sprint race respectively, so we know he enjoys this circuit. What can he do on these soft tyres? But there we go, through the Rogier chicane. That's what I mentioned earlier. You hit that curb a bit too hard at turn 5 and it could chuck you towards the gravel trap. Very unforgiving, and that is that lap ruined. Hopefully for his sake, he's got enough fuel to get around and do another lap time. And Dens goes fastest with a 121.0, but that was on the medium tyres, of course, and they may actually need slicks towards the end of the race, because we've just been informed by Droftas that Jeff is suggesting that it might be a dry end to the race, so that can make things very interesting indeed.
No, another Red Bull's bit, that's Cassie G, been in exactly the same place as Flip Flop Fish did.
Anything you can do, I can do better, seems to be the motto at the Red Bull team. Cassie G going off there at Ascari, just proving the point. Both Alphas now going past, so he'll be getting well out of the way of those. Thomas into the 118.932, so he's got into the 118s in this session. Furham was the only one to do it in that first qualifying session, so let's see what the Mercedes driver can do this time around. The highest he'll be able to start on the grid is 15th, of course, and he's fastest in this session with a 118.1 17.855. He's really laying a marker down. He's definitely going to be one to watch coming through the field. Like you said, just turn one, it's pretty hard normally. Imagine what it's going to be like on full fuel loads and intermediate or wet tyres.
I think these guys will probably want to take it as cautious as they can and not go too full throttle, to be honest, because in the dry you would probably want to push a bit more, but in the wet it's really tricky, especially if some of these guys have no traction control or ABS, because it's easy to lock up in the wet. So they just got to think more strategically and play the long game instead of thinking, right, I need to gain positions. That will come in a few laps time once the field starts to clear a little bit. So, you know, maybe the worst place to start is pretty much near the middle of the grid, around 11, 12. So if you qualify there, then that's not going to be good for you in the race, because you're going to have loads of cars in front of you and behind you, possibly either braking too early or braking too late, and you could get involved in a bit of front wing damage there too. So hopefully some of these guys can go a little bit faster than that if they want to do well in Monza.
Yeah, you always get that concertina effect in the middle of the grid, bit like an accordion. Everything squeezes up, and then there was usually around Monza a lot of carbon fibre that goes flying around at the first two chicanes. We've seen many big incidents there over the years. Fairhand still fastest, Thomas second, Artiero up into third place. We know he's a driver that's got pace, just seems to be a bit inconsistent when it comes to the race. Could tonight be the night for him? We're on board with Droftas. He'll be fairly happy with how he did in that first qualifying session. Always seems to start around about 11th on the grid, which usually gives you free choice of tyres, but that is not going to be a factor with the race start expected to be taking place in wet conditions. So let's see what the Mercedes can do. Fairhand's pretty happy with his time, and I can't really blame him for that. 1:18.855, looking like a very competitive lap time. Let's see what his teammate can do now. Droftas as he heads towards the finish line in the other Mercedes, and it's a 1:19.541, just ahead of Pedro. I feel he'll be really impressed with that lap time.
Yeah, he will. I think he'll be doing just about enough to make sure he makes it through into Q3, and I'll be impressed with that lap time as well. But he'll probably go out again pretty much towards the end to make sure he gets a feel for his tyre again before he goes into Q3 to see what he needs to improve on to possibly set pole. Thomas feels like he can't, well, he's happy with his lap time, and I think I would be as well. So I'm almost certain, obviously we've got a few Q3 bands, but I'm sure that Thomas is definitely going to be safe from Q2 and is going to move on to Q3 and challenge for that all-important pole position. He's looking favourite to get pole today. Yeah, he hasn't scored any poles, I believe, so I wonder if he can take his first pole position in the Temple of Speed tonight.
Yeah, qualifying not really been Thomas's strong point for one reason or the other. Had to miss qualifying at Silverstone, had quali bans at Germany, made a mistake in qualifying at Hungary, then in Belgium it was a wet qualifying, and that really shook up the order. Let's see what Josh can do in the Renault. He slots in just behind Thomas for now, third position, 1:18.988. He should be safe on that. A few of these other drivers though, like Artiero and Droftas, might just be looking over their shoulders slightly. What can Paris Burrell do on these soft tyres in the Williams? A reminder, his teammate Westy should be joining us before the end of qualifying, so Williams should have both of their cars in as they aim to fight on the drivers front and the Constructors' Championship front. And it is a third place for Paris Burrell so far, and I think we should just quickly talk about Williams and the situation they are facing at the moment. Obviously losing Rocket as their sponsors is going to be a big blow to them. I'm sure I speak for everyone where we say we hope that Williams actually, never mind do well this year, perhaps just survive the 2020 season.
Yeah, definitely. I feel bad for the drivers as well, and obviously the team that have worked so hard to get their car together, because they looked so well in testing as well, but it's just their sponsors have pretty much let them down, and obviously they have got a completely youthful line. Obviously Nicholas Latifi as well is starting his first season in 2020. He hasn't even stepped foot into a car apart from obviously testing, so he's going to be, obviously he had experience in esports obviously, which he's had a lot of fun with, but his first race is most likely going to be Austria, and hopefully this won't be his first and only season. Hopefully we'll see him in many seasons to come, because what I've seen in esports, Nicholas Latifi is brilliant, but obviously we've seen Westy do well in the F1 Championship in second. Hopefully Paris could do the same in his reserve debut, of course. and hopefully they can score some points, which we will hardly ever see in Williams last year and potentially this year as well, but we'll see anyway.
Yeah, I think at the moment we'll just take seeing any racing this year. We're not too picky whether it's going to be Williams scoring points or not, but obviously that would be nice for them. In FOR, they are 46 points behind Renault at the moment in 4th place, so still with a great chance of winning the championship. On board now with Alan as he comes across the line in the McLaren, 119.645 for him, just ahead of Andenge. At the moment it's Cassie G, Ireg, Silent Ace and Loney who are heading out, but Cassie G's the only one of those to set a lap time. Ireg invalidating on the medium tyres. You wouldn't really expect him, given the pace he showed in Q1, to get through to the next session, but might still spring a surprise. Silent Aso seems to be leaving it very late indeed, as does Loney, to try and get out. And you don't want to get caught in traffic or perhaps someone else's incidents. We saw Jonathan Cox lose it last time around, and Flick Flop Fish had to take big avoiding action. If that happens on your one and only hot lap, that could be qualifying over for you, as now Andenge, he might have a bit of trouble getting back to the pits in time to set another lap, because I think he's run out of fuel in the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, he has. That's not good at all. He's on low fuel mode as well, and he's just cut to turn 1 there. He wants to get there as quickly as he can. I mean, he was very close to getting knocked out, but if it wasn't for those crashes, of course, he would have been out anyway, and he might be on the verge again of missing out as well, and that would be a huge shame as well. 4 minutes left with low fuel. In lap is going to be probably about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, so you've got to take advantage of any corner cut to try and get into the pits as quickly as possible. But you know, you're losing power on your ERVs as well. Surely he needs to turn his ERVs down, because otherwise he's going to lose even more power. But you know, Silent Ace and Loney, they still haven't set a lap yet, but they are looking hopefully to improve. So hopefully the Alfa Romeo, he doesn't want to drop down. He wants to stay where he is so he can qualify, of course. And hopefully there's no crashes, but I'm sure the Alfa Romeo is hoping for some crashes again.
Yeah, he's got about halfway around the circuit, so say it's taking another minute to get back to the pit lane. It's going to have to be a quick turnaround by the Alfa Romeo team to get himself back out again in time for this session. He might find himself getting knocked down. Silent Ace on those medium tyres. Very interesting strategy choice by him to go for those mediums, given the fact that it will be a wet start to the race. So we'll see what he can do. Obviously saving some softs, I imagine, for the race. As there we go, Westy has joined the session, so we are going to have Westy coming from the back of the grid. There's going to be some seriously quick drivers heading from the back in this wet race. Furhan, Paulie Orange and Westy are going to be ones to watch. Expect to see them lighting up the timing screens in the race and gaining many positions. We'll follow Silent Ace around on these medium tyres. Judging by first qualifying, they were about a second slower, so it'll be a huge achievement from the Ferrari if he can get through to Q3 on these tyres.
That would be amazing, won't it? If it was in a dry situation, starting on the mediums at the back would be incredible, and he can stretch his stint for very longer. But no, he's got to worry about the wets at the start. So I don't know why he's on the medium compounded tyres, but I guess he just wants to get a feel of it a little bit, and maybe the soft didn't work out well for him, so hopefully he can go faster on those mediums. But due to the Delta being a second slower, as you said, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him to be quicker, and it is a 1:20.3 for the Ferrari driver, and he has one more chance to get a lap in, really, to be honest, because I don't think, unless he cuts corners, I don't think he's going to get another one soon, as he's only about 1.5, oh, he's almost a second slower than Pedro, so unless he improves quite a bit or gets a tow from the other from other people, he's going to be out of Q2 and starting no better than P11.
Yeah, and Pedro has actually crashed out in between the two Lesbos, so he won't be taking any further part in this qualifying session. That could help save Andenge and a few others. We'll have to see. Loney's only going to have one lap at this. He went off at the Rogier chicane for 4 and 5, proving to be really tricky for quite a few of these drivers. Seem to be really struggling with that corner, and it tends to be that curve at turn 5. We've seen it happen to a few drivers across many leagues. it can just throw you up into the air and straight into the gravel before you've even had a chance to react.
Yeah, it does, and I think in the way it's going to be even more tricky, and Cassie comes across the line, that's P8. Surely, unless other people like Origi and Loney improve, surely that could be enough to just about save him, but it's going to be worrying time for the Red Bull driver to see if he does make it. He's happy with his lap, though, but let's see what Lonely could do in the Toro Rosso as he goes for a Scari now. I do believe he was 1/10 quicker than his previous. Actually, no, he's quite quicker on his set to 2 already, so it's looking good as well. He almost binned in a Scari. That's not good. He's using overtake mode around this straight, which I think is the best mode to use around Italy. If you're going on higher gears, of course, you gain more power there than you do in hot lap mode. So, Lonely then, can he do enough to beat the Alfa Romeo driver to Q3? And I think that is more than enough to get him into Q3. That is a P5 for him, and I think the only one that still needs to improve is Alhan and Iregi. They're still out at the moment. Drofter is in 8th place right now. He needs to improve quite. Actually, no, he can't improve. He's slowing down for a Sky, but he's got to move out the way pretty quickly. Silent won't be taking any further part. He's out of qualifying session, so it's just the Haas of Origi in 14th to improve on his lap time.
Yeah, I think Andenge, I'm sure it said he was on a hot lap. I think he did get round in time, but unfortunately the game is now saying he's on an out lap, so we'll have to wait and see if he can improve. Alan went up into 7th place, so we'll have to see what sort of time now Andenge and Ireg can set. Cassie G actually just missing out in the end, as Andenge does improve. He goes up into 6th position, and Ireg, don't think that time was enough to get him through. No,
it wasn't.
Car
that
number
is a 13.
Shame. Position number 13.
Unlucky for some, probably unlucky for him as well. And that's probably saved Drofter quite a lot, as obviously there were more crashes in Q2 as well. So Drofter just about safe, and to be honest, it was only by a few hundreds of a second. That's insane. So that was quite lucky. But let's see if we can have a better qualifying session in Q3. The people that we've lost in Q2 is Pedro, Cassie G, Irege in the Haas, and Silent in the Ferrari as well, which means both Ferraris, they are out of qualifying, and the Tifosi are not going to be happy about that.
No, indeed they are not. Both Mercedes managing to get through to Q3, and both Alfa Romeos as well. This could be a great qualifying for Alfa Romeo. I imagine Cassie G will be pretty disappointed with that. Looked much better in Q1, just ended up leaving it a bit late, made that mistake that we saw at the Rogier chicane, and that may have cost him. But this is what we're waiting for. 12 minutes of the drivers going absolutely flat out. We've seen a few of the drivers get into the 1 minute 18, the higher end around 1:18.8. Furhan fastest in both sessions. He has that qualifying ban and he has already retired. So they've got 9 drivers left in this session, both McLarens making it through as well. You're going to be brave enough to predict anyone for pole position?
I would have to say Josh. He's been looking astonishing all season, and I mean, he's got 2 poles and he's been looking really impressive and consistent around Monza, and he hasn't been pushing much in Q2, but he doesn't want to show his true pace in Q2, so Q3 is where we can see him really step up to the mark, and I think he could be up there, but possibly I think it's going to be a shootout between Josh Thomas and possibly Paris Burrell for pole position, and I'm really looking forward to this Q3 session.
Yeah, I think I might just go for Thomas, and what I think could help is the fact that he's got his teammate with him to possibly give him that slipstream. That could make all the difference around here. When Kimi Raikkonen set what is now the record for the fastest Formula 1 lap ever, he got a bit of a slipstream off Sebastian Vettel, so we'll have to wait and see if there is going to be any teamwork. A few drivers just waiting in the pit lane. Droftas is now coming out, and in fact Alan is staying in the pit, so maybe he's only going to go for one fast run before giving his teammate a slipstream. Lone is still in the pits as well. Ars Hero going for a bit of a ride at the chicane there, even on his outlap, pushing as hard as he possibly can. This is going to be a very interesting qualifying session, I feel. Unsurprisingly, everybody on those soft tyres, the fastest possible. They're probably not going to need them that much in the race. So we'll have to see how they do in this session. And Denge will be the first one to set a time. And he's got Flip-Flop Fish not too far behind him. So maybe Flip-Flop here, a bit cheekily, going to try and get a slipstream off someone else's car.
Yeah, he could do, and getting a good run out of the last corner for some of these drivers, especially in Q3, is absolutely crucial around the Parabolica because of that curve. If you mess up, then that's it, and your teammate is not going to help at all if you have two teammates in Q3. So this is very, very crucial for Paris to show up a mark in FOR so far. He's looked good in Monza and other leagues. How is he going to do in this league as well? We'll see how he is in the first sector so far. Looks pretty clean in turn 1. He didn't make too many mistakes there, so I wonder if he's going to make it clean through turn 4 and 5. We'll have to wait and see. 25.6 for him, so not the fastest of the session so far, but still a pretty quick sector by any way, shape or form. So we'll see if he can improve on that one.
Yeah, we'll have to see how Paris can do there. We've got a few of the guys at the start heading towards the finish line, and Denge did get a bit of a slipstream off Artiero down the back straight before Parabolica, getting out of the way just in time, getting on the throttle early, and that is so important around the Parabolica corner. So let's see what Denge can do in this session. It's a 119.9, instantly beaten by Flip-Flop Fish with a 119.111. Don't think Denge will be too happy with that lap time in the end. Even with a slipstream, doesn't seem he's going to be challenging for pole position here today. Thomas, 118.750, really laying down a marker, and Paris Morel only able to go into third place for now. And Josh has invalidated his lap time, and he's done that a few times this season in the final qualifying session. Maybe just pushing a tiny bit too hard. I mean, that lap would have been good enough for second place in the end.
Yeah, I mean, most of his positions have been podiums in the race, but he could be in danger of losing his podium streak if he's not able to set a lap in qualifying, and he could be starting lower down in the grid as well, which is going to be loads of big names at the back as well. So Josh is going to hope that he's not near his championship rivals at all. He's got Thomas ahead, and obviously Flip-Flop Fish as reserve as well. So Josh really needs to get a move on. There's only 7 minutes left in this qualifying session. Q3 is the shortest qualifying session of them all, so Josh hasn't got that long to make it into the pits, get on a fresh set of softs, and go on his final lap as well. I wonder where he invalidated. Did you see where he invalidated?
I didn't know. He looks... Oh, when he's not pushing again. I was going to say it looks as though he's pushing for another hot lap. But he's got
nah, he's not. He's on 0.
His ERS is off, so he's just taking it as quickly as possible to try and get back to the pits. We haven't really talked about Thomas's championship hopes. He's only done 4 races here, but because of how close it's been, 71 points behind with 8 races to go. He's definitely doable, and he's in pole position at the moment. Droftas actually in the end in that session ended up going out on slightly used soft tyres, which is definitely not what you need in Q3. We're nearly halfway through this session. Most of the drivers have been out on their first runs, and it is Thomas who is fastest at the moment. Loney, we didn't see that lap time actually. De Toro Rosso, great lap from him, 118.9.
That came out of nowhere, I must say. He did really well in Q2. I thought he was going to have nothing left in the tank, but he is one of the next guys going to the 118s as well. Absolutely brilliant stuff as well from Loney. Don't forget he is a reserve. He did not finish last time when he was in the Haas car. Hopefully he could do better than that in the Toro Rosso, obviously in a Monza. It's looking like it at the moment. I'm almost certain he's possibly going to be in the top 5. I'm a bit worried about Flip-Flop Fish if he can get into the 118s. I'm almost certain Paris could, but I'm not sure about the others as well. So I think Loney's going to be pretty happy with that. It's going to be tough finding a few temps on that lap, because I can't remember what the world record is around here, but they're not far off the world records with any way, shape or form. So, you know, I wonder what Loney's going to do right now. Is he going to go for another lap, or will he be happy with his performance?
Well, I think you might as well go for it. You're not going to be needing the dry tyres too much in the race. You might as well go all out and try and see if you can get yourself further up, but he'll be very happy with that front row start. We have seen a reserve driver win in a Toro Rosso with Ferhan back at Hungary before he joined the Mercedes in a full-time role, and his teammate now that he's got the fresh soft tyres on, we'll see if he can challenge these guys at the top of the order. Only 6 drivers have set a time so far with 5 minutes remaining in this session. It is Thomas, fastest at the moment. Droftas rounding the parabolic at turn 11, heading towards the finish line. And that is a 119.418, puts the Mercedes into 5th position. He'll be very happy with that lap. We only saw a bit of slipstreaming on the first runs with Andenge and Artiero. Wouldn't surprise me if we see a bit more this time around.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think a few people will try to break the slipstream, try and get less slipstream. Apart from if you're Thomas's teammate who wants to try and help them get pole position as well. But if you're another car, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you. But luckily, we still got the I think we've got the 2 Alphas still in qualifying as well. So they're the other team that's going to benefit from the tow, should they use it as well. But they may not take advantage of it because they're concentrating on their own performance. But teamwork is key around it in these final few minutes of qualifying. Let's hope these guys don't leave it too late, because otherwise they're not going to have a shot at getting pole position. And already times are really close, with the top 6 separated by 7 tenths of a second. The top 2 separated by 2 tenths of a second. It shows how close it is. And Flip-Flop Fish and Paris Burrell, they're separated by a few hundredths of a second. Actually, a couple hundredths of a second, sorry, 2 hundredths, which is absolutely insane. 361 Flip-Flop Fish, 381 for Paris. So, you know, I think we can see them go up the order and possibly be close to each other as well, as Paris has just improved yet again on the Lesmo as he goes through to Ascari coming up now.
Yeah, I think he ran wide at the Roger chicane as most of the other drivers have done, and you can see what that's costing him. 8 tenths of a second down. No, he should have enough time, maybe just to dive back into the pits. Maybe chuck a fresh set of boots on if he's got them, get the car fueled up, but we'll have to wait and see. Paris only 4th at the moment, doesn't need to find much, as Jess said, to improve at the moment. Flip-Flop Fish is marginally faster in the first sector than his personal best, 12 thousandths. That just gives you a clue how close they are to their optimum pace. Can Flip-Flop Fish get into the 118s as he just runs wide coming out of the second Lesbo? That's going to compromise his run down towards the scarf. He's got DRS open, and you can see he's now 2 tenths off his personal best. This is going to have to be a mighty final sector from Flip-Flop Fish.
No, he's spinned in Ascari.
Maybe just pushing a bit too hard. We said it'd have to be a mighty final sector. That's not what he had in mind, and that could be qualifying over for the Red Bull driver. We know it takes a bit of time for them to get tyres and the cars fueled up again, but 3rd place might be the best he'll be able to do at the moment. And Denge again getting a bit of a slipstream off his teammate Artiero, and I'm sure he'll be able to repay the favour next time around. Artiero and Josh, the only drivers yet to set a lap time. Josh just coming around Curva Grande now on his out lap, so we'll see what Andenge can do in this session in the Alfa Romeo. Moves himself up into 5th place. That's a much better lap time there from him. He found 7 tenths on that lap.
I think the slipstream and the tow from his teammate definitely helped him as well. Hopefully he could do the same for his teammate Artillo as well, but it just makes all the difference here in the Monza. So I'm glad that the Alphas are definitely working together as well, and that's his best qualifying time out of all the 3 sessions. I mean, the first few sessions, like I said, he's been on the danger zone or potentially being knocked out. This is not the same Andenge we've been seeing in the first 2 qualifying sessions. He's almighty quick, almost in the 118s. I don't think he's going to get into the 118s, because I think he's going to concentrate on possibly helping his teammate, or maybe his teammate could help him yet again, because I don't think they were helping each other there. And most crucially, Josh, he hasn't set a lap time either. He's about to set one final lap. He's got one final chance. If he misses it, if he makes a mistake, then that's it. He'll be starting in last alongside Furhan. Obviously Furhan with his Q3 ban and his 5-place grid penalty as well. Let's hope that Josh doesn't compromise on his lap and he can push as hard as he can.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to invalidate this time around. That is what Artiero's done, and it looks like qualifying is going to be over for him. So, unfortunately for Andenge, he wasn't able to repay the favour. Has he got enough fuel and ERS left to go for another run? As Andenge, he definitely looks like he's got to try and get round. Let's see what some of these other drivers can do. Thomas, at the moment, provisionally on the pole. At the moment, 15 seconds remaining. Loney's just starting his hot lap. A few of these drivers leaving it right until the last minutes with last person across the line. Quite often they are the ones who take pole position. Thomas 9 thousandths down on his personal best. Doesn't need to find much here. Tukaskari absolutely perfectly to keep it nice and clean. Can he take pole position here for the first time this season? Qualifying is over then. Checkered flag out. Flip Flop Fish third the best he'll be able to do. We've got yellow flags in sector 2, but that's just for Andenge, I believe, recovering slowly to the pits. Tang Thomas finding improvement. He does a 1:16.663, and Josh moves up into second position for now. It won't be pole position for him this time around. And we've got Loney trying to make an improvement. Third at the moment. He's a 10th up on his personal best. He's going to have to be mighty through these final couple of corners if he wants to move up and knock Josh off the front row.
He was purple in sector 1, he looked almighty quick there, but in sector 2 he just lost it a little bit. But all that time could be gained in that final sector, which is what Loney is hoping right now. Can he beat Thomas's time? Nope, it puts him P3, but he goes into the 118 more crucial, which is absolutely amazing. Top 3 doesn't separate by a lot. Paris out of nowhere, 118.4, 2/10 quicker than RLT Thomas. Where did he come from? He said, see you later, that pole position is mine, and that on his debut in F4R, he gets pole. What about that?
We knew this guy would be quick, but he's really pulled it out of the bag. He was only 3/10 up on his personal best through the middle sector, so he must have found another 3/10 in the final couple of corners. Mighty lap time from Paris Burrell, and he takes his first pole position of the season, and it is, of course, his first race. Thomas as well, second place, that's his best qualifying. Josh going to have to start from third. Loney fourth. Flip Flop Fish fifth. And I think Josh, he'll be pretty happy with third in the end, given that the fact that his main title rivals obviously starting from way down the field. Paulie Orange, I believe he'll be starting from 14th position, possibly after Fairhand's penalties.
15th, I think.
And Westy.
Oh no, not 15th. Oh yeah, because Fairhand's got that Q3 ban.
And Westy obviously starting from 19th or 20th, depending on where the game puts him, because Desert was also joined the session.
So Josh, I think he'll be a bit disappointed he wasn't able to challenge for pole, but the fact that he managed to get to the 118s and his championship rivals at the back, that's going to possibly, hopefully, close up the gap to Westy and Paulie Orange as well. And Paulie Orange can't afford another rubbish race today, and he's got to focus on that. But 1/10, almost 2/10 of a second separates between the Williams driver of Paris and the McLaren driver of Thomas. So let's run through your top 10 in this qualifying session. So Paris is on pole with Thomas in second, Josh in third, Lonely in fourth place, Flip Flop Fish in the Red Bull in fifth. Adenji, I think that the upset of this qualifying session has done really well to get sixth place. Droft in the Mercedes in seventh, Alhan in eighth. Artillo, I believe, will be starting in ninth, and Fairhand will be starting no higher than 14th or 15th place. But get your gloves on, ladies and gentlemen. The dries are not going to be there until the end of the race, as we are going to see either full wet or inters. It's most likely going to be inters as we wait for us to load into the session. Hopefully we can go into it. And it looks like it's inters.
Yeah, it definitely looks like intermediate conditions. Not raining too heavy at the moment, so maybe those that have saved a few dry tyres will have to wait and see. I think it was 6 or 7 different constructors as well in the top 7 in that session, giving it an idea of how well it was doing. Paris said he was actually going to try something new in this qualifying and the race, and he wasn't sure whether he'd have the pace. Well, whatever he's tried has worked. 118.4, a very mighty lap time around here, and he's doing fantastically well. That is brilliant from him. So he could be looking very good for a win, but obviously we've not seen these guys in F1 cars in the intermediate conditions around Monza. A few of them that took part in F2. The first race and the qualifying there was wet, but F1 cars, completely different beasts. It's going to be a very interesting race, this one, I feel.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I mean, obviously the dries and the wet is going to be a lot harder to manage, and obviously this is not as wet as we were expecting. We thought it was going to be a lot wetter than this as well. Wait a second, it's not inters, it's dry tyres.
Well, it's That is very interesting indeed. So dry tyre for the start. Will it go to intermediate tyres in the first few laps? We'll have to wait and see. So there is the grid order. There is what tyres everyone is on. We knew in the end the top 10 would be starting on the tyres that they qualified on. That is for soft. And it's Cassie G, Silent, Ace, Poorly Orange and Hibilu have also gone for the medium tyres. If the rain does get a bit heavier, starting on them softs could be crucial because you'll be able to get the most out of them in the first few laps. But these cars are going to be even more dicey than usual. Slick tyres don't really give you that much grip in the wet, and if it gets too wet, we'll see that when DRS is disabled, which if the rain carries on like this, it might be not too long before we get that message, especially if it gets any heavier. Getting the pit stop timing absolutely right can be crucial.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, I've experienced commentating on a similar race, but it never got. They were on the dry tyres for pretty much the whole race in slick conditions, and it was Hungary of all places. And my oh my, there was a few people that made mistakes as well. We thought it was going to get worse, and we thought they were going to go on to intermediate tyres, and the ones who went on the intermediate tyres made the wrong call and had to go onto the slicks again. So I don't know what the strategy is going to be here. I can already see a few people struggling as we see a Renault that's gone off. I wasn't sure who that was. That might be Pedro, actually. Yes, it is.
It's Josh, I think.
And it's an Alpha as well.
I think it's Josh.
Oh, is that Josh too?
Yeah, I think it was
95. Yeah, it is. It's Josh.
I think 1995, David Coulthard managed to do that from pole position in the dry. So if he can do it, you've definitely got no worries about that. Lonely doing it as well.
He's gone.
Maybe this rain is already getting a bit heavier, so we could see a lot of pit stops in the first lap. Possibly, perhaps, even if the game did let you pit on the formation lap, a few cars would have gone for Marcus Winkelhock and put the intermediate tyres on. They could have found themselves leading very early on, but it's going to be Paris on his debut, going from pole position. Dezo, who's actually in the Williams tonight, because obviously joining late, he didn't have a choice to pick his car, so the Williams bookending the fields. What can he do after getting a second last time out? Can Westy take the lead of the championship from down in 19th, and can Poorly Orange retain it from 16th? All 20 cars lined up on the grid. Stay tuned, folks. This is definitely not going to be one you want to miss, as we did now wait for the lights to come on here at the Temple of Speed. We've got 4 lights and 5 lights. They go out and we are racing here at Monza, and it's a fairly even start between the front two. I think Thomas might have just edged it. Josh getting a good start as well, squeezing in between the Williams and the McLaren. So it is Thomas who has taken the lead. They've got cold brakes as Aylan's gone flying there across the field. And I think Paris Barrel's found himself took out in that as well. So it's a nightmare for the pole sitter. And Borussia said in the chat, as we've got a virtual safety car, cold tyres, cold brakes, turn 1 at Monza. Perhaps it was inevitable that that's what was going to happen.
I'm surprised we didn't see a safety car after that. That could have been a worse turn 1 shunt, but luckily there were some other cars that did not get involved in that. But we could see quite a few cars right at the back now. They've got a few front wing damage, and they'll probably have to go into the pits. That is the most crucial thing, and what tyres are going to go on as well. But I think some of these guys are going to breathe a sigh of relief that the VSC is coming. Paris has dropped down to 7th. I mean, Thomas is in P1, and the Alpha's gone from 5th place to 2nd. I mean, this race can get any crazier at the start as well. Josh stayed in 3rd. The Haas in 4th place. He's had a good start as well. The 2 Alfa Romeos, they're possibly going to get some good points if they can keep this up for the rest of this race. Don't forget, it's going to be drying up at the end, where it's going to get even quicker. But will we see a few pit stops at the start? I don't even know. Olhan has binned it for Ascari, I think, a little bit. No, he hasn't. I think he's just dropped a few positions. Verhan has got past him. He's up into 13th. Alhan's up down into 14th place. I want to be in their cars right now. This is hell.
Yeah, I think Aylan's just trying to get out of the way there, and I think no fault of his own. He's got hardly any front wing as he's forced infamous pillars wide. Westy had a fantastic start, but he must have had damage as well, because he's heading into the pit lane and he's got himself a time penalty. So I'll just stick with Westy. We'll see what tyres they put on that racing point. Will it be the intermediates, or is it still slick conditions? There's intermediates out for the McLaren. For the dry tyre, sorry, for the McLaren. And as you said, Jess, it's intermediate tyres. So Westy's pace is going to be one to watch. We've got more yellow flags in sector 1 as Isabella has gone straight on at the first chicane, but it's Thomas in the lead at the end of lap 1 and Denge in second, Josh still in third, but Irej gaining 8 places on that lap. He's got a bit of damage on his front wing, but I'm not sure he'll care too much at the moment.
No, he won't. I think he just wants to concentrate on pretty much survival, pretty much as well. And if we see Westy climb up the order, then that's going to be worrying for the drivers who haven't pitted onto those Inter tyres to see if he can manage it. So I'm going to stay on board for Westy just for the time being to see how he manages turn 4. Let's see if hopefully he does it better than what he did in the dry tyres. Not too bad, actually. I mean, he's keeping it under control, so maybe it's kind of like an in-between position that it doesn't matter what tyre you're on, really, but it is hard to tell. But I think if I was on those soft tyres, I'll be worried. I think you would either want to be on those medium tyres or the Inters. Oh, I saw DRS enabled, so not quite yet for DRS to be disabled yet. So has Westy made the wrong decision? We'll find out later on in this race.
Yeah, we'll have to see Josh managing to get past Denge and Irej pitting as well. So that's got Paris Burrell back up into 4th position. So both Reynolds gaining early on, both Alfa Romeo's gaining. That's 3 places gained for Denge now. Arturo gaining 2. Dezo, biggest winner in them early stages, going up 6 places. And Westy would have been a big winner, but we'll have to see what sort of times he does on those intermediate tyres. We'll get more of an idea next time around. But Paris Burrell set the fastest lap with a 1:31, and a reminder that anyone who finishes the race is eligible for the fastest lap point here at F1, not just if you finish in the top 10. So if it is dry towards the end, perhaps we'll see a few of those drivers further down the field swap around and go into the pits to try and gain that extra point, as we have seen a switch between the 2 Red Bulls. Flip-Flop Fish getting ahead of Cassigears. I think Loney's just got it wrong out of the second Lesmo there. He's under big pressure here from Flip-Flosh, who's going to take the inside line into Ascari. It's very brave to have a move around there, especially in these conditions, and Loney holding on to the 8th place for now as Josh tries to catch up to Thomas up ahead. We're seeing in the background Arturo going to the inside of Droftas before the Parabolica, as I saw Dezo going off in the background, and I think maybe Jonathan Cox as well.
Yeah, I think I just caught the aftermath of that. I saw a yellow flag going to a sky, and I think I saw Toro Rosso had a few issues as well as Jonathan Cox. He's not liking those wet conditions on those softs whatsoever. Oh, he just about missed the wall there, but surely that's going to be intermediate tyres for him, because otherwise he's going to struggle so much. But already Westy's improving on his previous time on those inter conditions. I mean, he's looking on fire right now going into this. We'll see if he improves compared to the soft times. 1:31.5. So maybe that's a response from some of the other guys who are struggling to put a fresh set of inters on.
Well, 1:31.5 is comparable with those at the front of the field, so you could probably say it's right on the cusp now. If it stops raining, these on the slicks are going to look very clever. If it rains a bit more, Westy is going to be loving it. So maybe just giving him a bit more confidence as well, feeling that he's got a bit more grit. But obviously, the intermediate tyres are a fantastic tyre. Pretty much any conditions they are handy in. Josh looking pretty handy at the moment, though. He's closing up to Thomas. He's got that gap at around a second. Needs to be under a second, but he did get himself a penalty on that lap for corner cutting as Paris Burrell, he moves to the inside before Parabolica now, and Denge finding himself dropping back slightly, and that is the Williams, who started on pole, got involved in that first lap incident. No damage done, thankfully for him. He is now up into 3rd position, and he tries to charge up to Josh, but the Alfa Romeo will have DRS heading him down towards turn 1. Paris going defensive fairly late on, and Denge having to slightly take to the grass. That is not going to put him off though, and he moves down the inside as he made the corner enough. Or is Paris Burrell going to be able to do the cutback? And this has allowed Pedro to close right up to the back of these as well. So Denge back up into 3rd place. The Williams trying to get in that slipstream, losing a bit of downforce under the slipstream and in these wet conditions, and he might have to stay behind a bit more. Great defending from Denge, and we've seen how good he can be at making the Alfa Romeo one of the widest cars in Formula 1. As I say that though, he's made a slight mistake out of the Rogier chicane, and that is Paris Burrell, I think is going to take 3rd place for now. But again, Denge will have DRS heading down towards Ascari, but he's now got Pedro to worry about.
Infamous making a mistake going into turn 3 and 4. That's really hurt him a little bit. We saw Cassie G cut the corner there into turn 1, which got him a 5-second penalty as well. So I'm surely he was probably going to let Infamous through anyway, but he's on the cusp of possibly moving now. But we got Paris and Adanji going yet again, and Pedro on the left-hand side says, thank you very much. If you can't get the move done, so I can get the move. And I think Pedro was ghosted for a little bit there, as Andeji has got the switchback move yet again just before the Parabolica, so he wants to try and catch up to Paris once more. That's allowing Paris to close in on the top 2 guys and move far, obviously stay clear of the other guys who are fighting for his position. I mean, this is going to be very, very tense. I think Pedro's going to go for another move into turn 1, and this time he breezes past with DRS, and this time he's about a few attempts behind Paris, so he's going to get DRS potentially into Ascari if he can keep up with the Williams driver.
Yeah, we're just seeing some moves in the background as well. Infamous and Cassie G, as Cassie G having to hop over the chicane there. He moves back behind the Ferrari and behind his teammate. So Red Bull 11th and 12th and Infamous Pillars into their points on his debut. Westy's definitely gaining on those ahead on the intermediate tyres at the moment, so they're giving him plenty of confidence. I think Silent Ace has made a mistake, as has Artiero. He's gone off at the second chicane. We've seen plenty of drivers do that, and he's going to drop down out of the points. It'll be interested to see at the scheduled pit stop what tyres these guys go for. It'll be another few laps here, as now Loney in the slipstream of Drofdas with DRS gets it done before we get to the Ascari chicane, and Drofdas pulling back. Good teamwork there, just letting Furhan pass. He knows his teammate is the quicker driver, and Furhan's done great so far in this race, recovering from what I believe was in the end 14th on the grid. He's now in 7th position.
Yep, so seven positions going for Furhan. I think he'll take that, to be honest. And he's also got his teammate behind him as well, where potentially Drofter could possibly gain a few more positions there too. And I mean, for some of these guys, they're doing so well on those soft compounded tyres. Somebody, Loney is improving a little bit better, I think, due to the fact that his tyres have had a few laps to warm up. Obviously, the first 3 or 4 laps in these type of conditions on the soft tyres, your tyres are really cold. They're not the optimum temperature, so that's probably why Loney was finding it hard for the tyres to warm up. But I think he's feeling quite comfortable now, whereas Furhan, he's dropping back a bit, but he's going to try and fight back going into the next couple of corners. But I don't think he's going to get the move yet. Nope, he does not. And he stays behind going into turn 5.
Yeah, so he stays in 7th place. Artiero's trying to make his way back up through the field, and he's got himself now into 11th place ahead of Cassie G. Silent Ace has headed into the pits, and he's actually put the soft tyres on, so he still thinks it's good enough for the slicks at the moment, and we are pretty much borderline as Artiero drifting his way through the first Lesmo. It looks cool. It's definitely not the quickest way around, and neither is that, my friend. And that is going to allow Cassie G past, and Dezo's going to try and follow through as well. We've got a three-way battle going on here. It's only for 11th place at the moment. Can Dezo gain another position? No, Cassie G able to hold him off. Artiero tries his luck around the outside. Is he going to be able to get the move stick? Not this time, so he stays in 13th for now. Flip-flop fish closing on to Infamous Pillars, but his teammate behind is having a much harder job keeping all these cars behind. Deso and Artiero really going at it, and that time Artiero does chuck it down the inside. Has he gone in too deep though into the Parabolica? Deso's going to be side by side as they come out and they've made contact. That is a big shunt. Both of them able to continue. Deso's lost his front wing. Artiero around. They were getting extremely close together, both having to head into the pit lane. Safety car out.
Oh, that was inevitable, I must say, for that incident, I must say. But whilst I was watching that before the safety car, Verhan went for a mighty move into turn 1, but Loney with the switchback, he kept it into P6 just when the safety car came out. So that's really helped the Toro Rosso driver, but not helped the Mercedes driver of Verhan. But now, the question is, will the top 8, the top 10 on those soft tyres decide the option to switch to either Inters or onto the medium tyres? I think a few people will probably go into the pits, but we don't know yet. Some of them might want to try the 1-stop, some people might want to try the 2-stop, but obviously they only need to make 1 pit stop, of course. but some of these guys will want to make sure they have enough softs for the end of the race, of course, and maybe mediums or winters is the best tyre to be on. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm almost certain that most of these guys will make more than one pit stop, as they obviously their tyres will be a lot more worn in these conditions, as well as I think we've seen Artillo pitted quite recently as well. He's just gone onto the medium tyres as well, so let's see how he does as well. And I think a lot of people have gone out of the Inters actually and gone on to the mediums. Westy, one of those people on the mediums, and I think Desso was on the Inters. He's on the mediums as well. Jonathan Cox, though, the only driver who was on the Inters to stay on the Inters.
Yeah, so I think that's interesting that quite a few drivers have changed from these tyres, and Josh has got out ahead of Thomas in the pits. Paris Pavel catching up as well. We've seen a few of these drivers, and Denz coming back out in fourth. Loney still ahead of Fairhand, so Josh really gaining in the pit stop phase there. He's now the leader of this race on those mediums, and Denz going for the soft tyres. He'll definitely have to pit again, as well Infamous Pillars and Drofdas. They really didn't have a choice after starting on the mediums, I believe, in the case of Infamous Pillars. I think he might have started on the medium tyres, so maybe...
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so just using the compulsory second compound Artiero in a game, getting himself a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So what's the Alfa Romeo driver doing this time around? He's putting in, it looks like another set of medium tyres, so I'm not quite sure why he's coming in again. But Jonathan Cox, yeah, only driver to go from Inters back onto another set of Inters. Westy and a few of the others deciding that it's dry enough for the dry tyres, and you've got to say he was not really losing anything to those in the lead, but he wasn't gaining anything, and especially if it's going to be dry later on, you want to be on the slick tyres right now.
Yeah, you got to. I think the Inters are probably made redundant, because I can see that the slick tyres are starting to get a little bit more glued to the track compared to the Inter tyres at the moment. I mean, it's starting to get a bit better on track to get used to right now. And I think the ones who were on the Inters probably made a huge mistake. Apart from Westy, Westy's gained quite a few positions from that safety car. Has jumped quite a few people on that safety car as well. I think a few people were at a disadvantage being early in the pit stop phase. Obviously, if you're on the lower team, you're probably not going to get held up as much. If you're in the Williams, like Paris Barral, or in the Renaults, for example, you are going to have more of an advantage. That's why Josh got ahead of Thomas. So obviously Josh was ahead. Is lower down in the pit crew in the team, so they were closest to the pit exit. So that's why Josh did manage to get hold up, and that's why he's in the lead. And I think that's why in some of the leagues I'm in, some of the cars, people have chosen those cars due to the fact that they don't want to get held up as much. And around Monza, it's key.
Yeah, definitely important indeed. And Denz is actually coming again under this safety car period. He's now putting medium tyres on, so what was looking like a fantastic race for Alfa Romeo in the first couple of laps, they both finding themselves outside the points. Lap 10 here out of 27. It is Josh in the lead. Thomas is second. Pole sitter Paris Barral finding himself in third. Loney doing well in fourth. Fairham already recovering from 14th up to 5th. Could he take what would be a memorable victory for him? Pedro 6th. Infamous Pillars the highest Ferrari in 7th. Flip-flop 8th. Droftas 9th. Paulie Orange, current championship leader, in 10th. And also Jonathan Cox, who's down in last place. He went back into the pits to get rid of those intermediate tyres and put the slicks on. You've got to say, with the weather forecast suggesting it's going to get drier, it will now be slicks to the end. And the longer this safety car goes on, the more likely it is that those on the medium tyres will be able to go to the end. We could just have a straight sprint finish between these top 6 for the victory.
It's going to be close, but yeah, especially if you're on that safety car period, you're going to probably warm up your tyres a bit more and not push them as much. So maybe, I think they can just about get away with it for some of these guys, but if you're on the softs, you're almost certain going to pit again, because there's no way the softs are going to last that long. The mediums, they can last around about 15, 16 laps, and obviously we've got about that amount of laps to go of this Grand Prix, so that they should be fine. So obviously with a few extra laps in the safety car, they will be able to pull away like flies and straight drag to the finish as well. And due to the fact that obviously there's no winters to worry about, they won't have to do a 2-stop, and again, now it's crucial. So Josh, I think, will stay out, so will pretty much the top 6 will pretty much stay out as well, as long as they don't make too much mistakes. But the question is, I wonder what the others do as well. Will some of the guys down the bottom go on a set of softs at the end to go for fastest lap? If they have enough, we'll see as we come to the latter half of the Grand Prix later on.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what different tactics the drivers go for. Infamous Pillars, highest driver on those softs in the Ferrari. His debut at the moment in 7th place. He's got to make some moves in the opening few laps once the safety car has come in to take advantage of that strategy, because he will definitely have to pit again, as will Droftas, Paulie Owens, Cassidy and Silent Ace. Imagine Hibilu, only driver on these hard tyres. They don't really like the cold conditions, don't warm up obviously as easily as some of the other tyres, and not an ideal race tyre, but having started on the mediums, if he wanted to get to the end using 2 sets of dry tyres, didn't really have much of a choice but to go for the hard to try and make the one-stop work. Lap 11, Josh gaining the lead under this safety car period from Thomas, and there we go, safety car is coming in this lap. So Josh, he's now in control of the field. How late is he going to go? Because he doesn't want to give everyone a fantastic slipstream on the run down to turn 1, of course.
Nope, he doesn't. So I wonder what he'll be feeling about in this safety car period, because he's going to hold them up for sure, but he doesn't want to give that much for toe as well. So he needs to pull away very quickly, so then he could make sure that he has slipstream all to himself as well. But please bear in mind, Thomas obviously is a mega quick driver on the safety car restarts. He does very well and can take advantage as well. And you can already see him to the left hand side. Josh is struggling, and we got Paris. He's just overtaken before the start finish line and before it's gone green. Is it even allowed? I'm not entirely sure, but we'll have to wait and see. I think it was quite questionable, that move, as Josh went a little bit wide as well going into turn 1. I think Paris has let them both through, so I don't think there'll be any penalty for Paris, thank goodness. So that's Josh back in the lead, Thomas in second, Paris in third, and oh my god, there's quite a huge pile up into turn 1, as I think quite a few people lost a few positions. The Ferrari, 2 of the Ferrari drivers down in 17th and 18th place on those soft tyres. That is not good whatsoever, as Josh holds on to Thomas yet again going to turn 5. Great defensive move there as well. We got Artilla and Joffa going for a move, and Desso dropping down the order down into 13th place. Westy has had a collision with someone. Where's that? That was turn 5 and 6, and that was a Haas as well. So he's now down into last place on the grid. That doesn't look good for his championship hopes. Paulie Orange, though, is down in 9th place, so he's going to extend his lead on Westy a little bit. That's not what Westy wants.
No, we've got a virtual safety car, though. I think what happened on the restart is Josh just put the foot down, and the lack of grip caught him out. He skidded. Thomas tried to take advantage of that, but slowed down. And I think Paris was a bit slow to react and had to go around the outside to avoid a massive pile-up. But we have got a virtual safety car. Desso, first retirement. Both racing points now, Westy and Jonathan Cox down at the back. And with results looking as they are at the moment, you've got to say Josh looking pretty good to take the lead of this championship. He's in the lead of the race. He's just got to be a bit careful when this VSC period ends, of course, to make sure he's not caught out like he was last time around. Droftas has come into the pits, and Denjin as well, so I wonder if he was involved in the incident earlier on. Might have a bit of damage on his car.
Thomas hit Josh, I think. Not entirely sure, but hope that's not damage there. But I think Josh just pulled away just a little bit there due to Thomas' mistake. Do you think Thomas is struggling? I'm not entirely sure. He's got Paris on him now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Thomas just got caught out by the timing there, but we are green once again. Westy and Irej having to come into the pits. Fairhand trying to have a go at Loney around the outside into the chicane, but nothing doing. So the top 5 staying in the order that they have been since the VSC started. Thomas has now dropped back from Josh. He needs to get back within a second. Of course, once DRS is enabled, it will be next time around, as it is disabled for 2 laps after the safety car period, and he needs to get away just so he can get the DRS off Josh, so he can defend from the guys behind, as Flip Flop Fish has a look at Pedro into the Ascari chicane, but he stays behind Pedro in 6th. That would equal his best finish since joining the league, as now the 2 Red Bulls are battling each other. 10 years ago today, they collided in Turkey in Vettel and Webber. No such worries this time, as Cassie G takes that 7th place off Flip-Flop Fish. Thomas does seem to be struggling a bit. I can't see any damage on his car though. Josh setting the fastest lap of the race. Don't think DRS will be enabled this time around, maybe next time. Paulie Orange there going fast, and Artiero as well. It has stopped raining, so any chance of the intermediate tyres being needed. And there we go, DRS will be enabled on the run into Ascari, and Thomas is going to have to defend for his life from Paris, Loney, Ferhan, Pedro, Cassie G. Flip-Flop Fish now battling with Paulie Orange. Hibila getting ahead of Silent Ace, but I think that was more because the Toro Rosso driver has ran off track. He's in 12th position at the moment. With the way this race is going, could see some drivers like Hibila, some of those who are a bit further down the order normally, maybe pick up some points, because it has been an absolutely chaotic start to this race so far. But Josh beginning to get away now at the halfway point, as Thomas is going to be looking in his mirrors for that Williams of Paris Burrell. DRS is open on the run down to Ascari. I think though the McLaren is going to be just far enough ahead this time around.
Yeah, indeed, and to finish first, you first have to finish. I think Powers has made a beautiful recovery from his lap 1 shenanigans, and he's probably going to be happy that he's able to recover from it right now. He's having a really good run into the Parabolica. He's going to try for a move there, a little bit of a risky move there, but he didn't want to risk it a little bit, I think, because otherwise that would have been damage here and there, and that would have dropped Paris way down the order as well. Paris is going to get DRS into the start-finish straight then. He breezes past Thomas. Thomas knows he's struggling. He doesn't challenge Paris there, and he's going to settle for P3 for now, but Thomas, I think, is going to have DRS going into turn 4 pretty soon, and also Lonely and Ferhan and Pedro and Cassie is also going to join this train as well. Don't forget, Cassie may have to pit again as well, but I don't think Loney is going to get the move down on Thomas. Nope, he is not. So this train is going to be like this for a long time to come yet.
Yeah, and if these drivers are smart, they can use this DRS train to just catch up to Josh, because he's beginning to check out now. 1.8 seconds in the lead of this race. West is showing the pace that he's got with the fastest lap, but he's down in last position at the moment, so really needs something to start working well for him. And Thomas does seem to be struggling. He's not all over the back of Paris in the same way the Williams was hounding the McLaren the lap before, and in fact Thomas looking more vulnerable to Loney at the moment on the run down towards the Parabolica. Can't see the Toro Rosso driver going for it here, because he knows he wants to get the best possible slipstream and run down towards the first game, but the McLaren ahead will also have DRS, and that makes overtaking all the more difficult, as Loney just running a bit wide there out of the final corner of the Parabolica. DRS open, not sure he's going to be close enough to the McLaren to have a move, and Ferhan as well, just keeping that gap fairly constant. We're seeing the fastest laps come tumbling down.
Oh, Loney's gone wide. He's cut the corner into turn 1, so that is Paris and Thomas gone past him, and he's got a 3-second time penalty for it, a straight 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, and in the end, Ferhan managed to get ahead as well, so he didn't gain anything from that. In the end, he ended up losing a position and getting the 3-second time penalty. So, disaster for him. I just caught him going straight on there. Cassie G in 7th, Paulie Orange in 8th now. How far can those move up on their soft tyres? Because they will have to pit again, of course. Paris 1.6 seconds behind Josh. Will he be able to close that gap before the finish of this race and take what would be a fantastic debut victory, especially what happened on lap 1? He's just got himself a 3-second time penalty. I think I saw Josh get one of them earlier, so they may be even on penalties now. Has Thomas been able to wake up a bit more after that VSC? Now that he's not got Loney hounding the back of him, might feel a bit more aggressive as he tries to challenge for what would be his 3rd win of the season. We're yet to have a 3-time winner here at FOR. We are around 13 of the season. It looks like Josh is going to become the first tonight. He sets the fastest lap of the race, quickly beaten by Thomas. Further back though, 6th and 7th place, Pedro without any DRS. He's finding himself under attack from not one but 2 cars as the Red Bull of Cassie has to go into turn 1, and that is the position done. He is up into 6th place. Paulie Orange not able to take advantage of that. Those soft tyres will be beginning to get a bit second best now on the Haas and the Red Bull. Didn't seem to affect Cassie though, but he's going to have to defend from Pedro into the chicane. I think he's got that move covered off though. So the Red Bulls in 6th and the Renault down to 7th position for now.
Yep, indeed. Not looking good for Pedro right now, but there's still 10 laps to go. Anything can happen. Obviously, Paulie Orange behind him on those soft tyres, and obviously Cathy G on the softs as well. So Pedro could possibly get into potential 6th place, but he's got to be careful. Flip-Flop Fish and Arturo as well, who are catching, not trying to catch up with them anytime soon as well. And obviously the guys down front at the back as well, if they're a little bit too further back, maybe in about lap 23 or lap 24, they may start pit on the soft for their fastest lap, but more to come of that pretty soon as well. Meanwhile, Paris is trying to close the gap on Josh for these last 10 laps of this race. We've got yellow flag in sector 3, and Infamous becomes our second retirement of this race, and that causes our second safety car.
Yeah, full safety car. Flip-Flop Fish deciding to dive into the pits. I wonder if anyone else will maybe put the soft tyres on. We've seen the Infamous Pillar there coming out of Ascari. He's had a big shunt tyre, front right corner, missing on that Ferrari. He becomes our second retirement, and we are seeing a few pit stops here. Flip-Flop Fish going for the softs, Arturo as well, Habilu putting these on. These are going to be ones to watch towards the end. The leaders had obviously just got past the pit lane when that incident happened, so they might have to look over their shoulders. Will any of them feel we need to pit on this lap? We'll have to wait and see as we wait for the safety car, which currently just got itself nicely parked at the Curva Grande. The Mercedes safety car waiting obviously to pick up the leaders, so it wouldn't surprise me if those front drivers pit this lap. This could be a big help though for Paulie Orange and Cassie G, who would have had to pit anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was a huge sigh of relief for the soft runners. I mean, they've got pretty much potentially got a free pit stop, and they're going to be on spanking new tyres, and they're going to make it to the end of the race. How cool is that? And that's going to help them more than anything compared to the ones that have been on like 9-lap old mediums. But are they going to gain that much time to try and close in on the leaders? Never say never to Cassie G, of course, and Paulie Orange. Obviously, Paulie Orange wants to keep that lead in the championship and wants to stop Josh, but it doesn't look like he's going to do it. Is Paulie Orange going to pit? We've got Cassie G in the pit, Pedro's in the pit as well on the mediums. Everyone's pretty much pitting.
Yeah, everyone going for those soft tyres. So will anyone gain in the pit stops this time around? Because that is how Josh took the lead. Alan, I think he'll be coming in as well. Pedro might find himself getting held up slightly. And there we see Josh has retained the lead. Paris second, Thomas third, Furhan fourth, Loney fifth, Cassie G in sixth. And yeah, Pedro in the end, I think, did find himself getting held up ever so slightly there, dropping back behind Paulie Orange. So that worked out well for the championship leader and for Cassie G as well, getting rid of those soft tyres. So we've got 9 laps to go at the moment. Josh still in the lead of this race. We are under safety car conditions, and with the pack being all closed up, this could be oh so important if you've kept it clean, because any small penalties are going to have a big effect now.
Yeah, definitely. I'll have a look at the penalty rundown in a minute, so I know who's in danger and who's not. But that's also going to benefit the guys who are clean as well, going through turn 1, because the slight mistake in turn 1 again in the restart, it may cause you to drop down a few positions as well. So it's going to be like the start all over again, and they've got to do it all bunched up yet again. So they got to be cautious, just as they were for some of them in lap 1. And also, they get a second chance. If they didn't do well in the first safety car restart, this is their redemption for most of these guys. So everyone, I think no one has not pitted. I mean, and Jay has pitted before the safety car period, but that was for a fresh set of softs anyway. So it's going to be anyone's game for the fastest lap point to see who can do it. It may be that anyone in the top 10 can get it, because obviously they're the faster guys, but the ones who are outside the top 10, they might have clean air if they can't catch up to the safety car. Who knows? But as we get on to the last 8 laps of this Grand Prix, if we go through the parabolic, and now this time it's Josh that leads the field away with Paris, and then Thomas as well. Can Thomas take advantage of these two on those fresher soft tyres? Because he seemed to be struggling on those mediums. He was doing well on those softs. Could this be redemption few laps for the ILRT driver of McLaren?
Yeah, we'll have to see. Of course, Josh, at the end of the first safety car period, nearly ended up spinning into the wall, and Paris had to back off. Paris was closing before that, and he's now right behind once the safety car comes in. Won't be this lap, I feel, when we see the safety car come in, so that should give us 7 laps of flat-out racing. DRS won't be enabled for the first 2 of them. It's going to be extremely close indeed. Some big loser that bit. Droftas ended up dropping down. He's currently 16th place. Looks as though he was going to get points early on. Same for Andenge. Westy, we was hoping probably to pick towards the end and go for a fastest lap, but now that everyone's got fresh tyres on, that's going to be difficult for him to do. So looks like his great run of scoring points is ending here just when he needed a good result, with Josh leading the race and Paulie Orange in 7th. If things stayed as they were, Josh would take the lead in the championship. Just checking to see who's got fastest lap at the moment. It is Fairhand. So Josh has 25 points compared to Paulie Orange's 6 points. Would give the Renault driver a 7-point lead going into the next round at Singapore. We've still got 7 laps of racing to go here, and we will get those. Safety car coming in this lap. Josh won't be thinking about the championship at the moment. He'll just be thinking about getting a better restart than last time to make sure he can defend from this Williams as Droftas gets himself a time penalty.
Yes, he can't really bottle this safety car restart this time. He's under huge pressure because Paris, I saw in the last safety car restart, he was keen and he didn't want to get a penalty, so he backed off. But this time, if Josh bottles it again, this could be Paris' opportunity. Again, he is on the left-hand side line going into the start-finish straight. Looks like Josh didn't get the restart that he would have hoped. Paris is going to take the shortest run in its starting going through to turn 1, and that's going to be the restart of dreams for the debutant into FOR and a reserve driver. Does he get through clean into turn 1? Banging wheels, but healthy banging wheels for those two. Let's see if Josh can defend for his life. He's got to get the switch back down here into turn 3 and 4. Don't forget, no DRS enabled in these next couple of laps, so they've got to rely on slipstream. Can Josh get the run? No, he can't. So, for the second time running, Josh didn't get a good restart. At least he kept it on the track this time. It's Paris who leads after the safety car.
Yeah, we've got a yellow flag again, and that is Andenge who's going around at the chicane, but he's retired from the session. Will that cause another safety car or anything? We'll have to see. Fairhand gained the place on that lap. He got past Thomas as well, but the McLaren getting in the slipstream of the Mercedes on the run down to the Ascari chicane, but not able to do anything this time. He'll be looking for a podium as well to take advantage of the misfortunes of Paulie Orange and Westy. So Paris getting the best restart there. He has taken the lead, but it's going to be finding himself very difficult to keep hold of that, especially when DRS gets enabled at the start of lap 23. So it's Paris in the lead by about half a second as they come towards the finish line. Josh in the second, and there we go, Paris, fastest lap of the race. Not too surprising, he nailed that restart. Pedro in the slipstream of PMP Cassidy, but not able to do anything about it this time around. His teammate looking pretty racy as well behind Paulie Orange, who's dropped a place behind Pedro. It's going to be a very fascinating last couple of laps here in this FOR race. It's pretty much anyone's guess who's going to be first across the line.
Yeah, definitely. And most crucially, Paris has got a time penalty on lap 16. So that's really going to haunt him. And he's on his final warning as well before he gets another one. So he's got to be careful. I know Josh has got a straight 3-second time penalty as well. So they're racing for position. Let's see what Fairhand's penalties are looking like. He's on 3 warnings, almost getting a penalty. Thomas with a 5-second penalty, which he served in the pit lane. But apart from that, he's squeaky clean. So with you speaking about the penalty situation, I mean, if obviously Paris and Josh can't pull away as much, Fairhand or Thomas could walk away with the race victory if those two drivers are not careful, and that could change massively in terms of who gets the lead of this championship. Paulie Orange could just about smash it if Josh doesn't take the win, but we'll have to wait and see there.
Yeah, we'll have to see that. So Fairhand and Thomas, this could pretty much be a battle for the lead of this race as Fairhand closing in on Josh ahead. Thomas closing in behind him as well, just giving the Mercedes a bit of a tap into the chicane, and that's a much bigger tap, but he sent Fairhand round. Fairhand getting collected there by Paulie Orange as well. Not sure if the Haas driver got any damage from that. The In fact, he did. He's lost big part of his front wing. And another safety car period. And that was all caused by Thomas just getting a bit eager on the back of Furhan. I'm sure the Mercedes driver absolutely furious with that. Paulie Orange as well, getting big damage on his front wing. This is going to be a very exciting final couple of laps here.
I mean, the last time I commentated around Monza in another league, there was a safety car around this time as well. And it changed the race so much. The guys that we thought that was going to win, they dropped it down into roughly 5th place. And then we saw someone that we weren't expecting to win, had a horrible race to start. Like, he started from the race lead, dropped down to 6th, and then came on to win again due to him not making mistakes in the final safety car period as well. I mean, it's too late to go on to the softs, but, you know, this could change massively if these guys are not careful. They have to do it all over again. We've had 3 safety cars. I believe we had 1 on a VSC. I'm not sure we had 1 or 2, but I think that's the last safety car we're going to get around here. So this was going to be kind of like a sprint race, except cleaner, as Paulie Orange has got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. We got him in the pits. Verhan obviously changing his front wing. Jonathan Cox, and we've got the Toro Rosso of Hebiu down in 17th place in the pits as well. Everybody else is staying out, and this time it will be Paris who's in control of that safety car restart this time.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how he plays it out, because he's got 2 very good restarts, but that was when he was behind Josh. Now he's going to have all the pressure. There's probably only going to be 1, maybe 2 racing laps left when these drivers when the safety car driver comes in and they're back to green flag racing. Cassie G's managed to get himself up into 4th position here. He could find himself getting onto the podium because he gained 7 places, started 11th. That did give him the fresh choice of tyres in the race at the start, and that sometimes works out brilliantly. Pedro moving up 5 places as well. Westy, all of a sudden, Westy, after that chaos, he's found himself in the points.
That's insane. He started in last from 19th place. Now he's up into 10th. I mean, he probably would not have predicted that. And I think the safety car for him has probably been a saving grace for him. And he could potentially gain a few more if other drivers make a mistake. I mean, you know, maybe his championship hopes won't be over after all if he gets the point. Maybe he may still get an extra point for the fastest lap as well if he keeps this up. But we've still got a few more laps to go of this race, and I think the safety car is going to come in at the end of next lap. Obviously, most of the cars are already bunched up already in this period right now, but we can see everyone is just so keen to get going right now, and these are overcast conditions, and the track is starting to get warmer as well, so faster lap times. People are going to start pushing. They're also going to less worry about their fuel, because obviously most of these guys will be in lean for some of these guys, so they're able to go to rich mix for pretty much the entirety of the last couple of laps. It's going to be a sprint to the finish on the final few laps, and they're going to have a lot of VRS to play with as well.
Yeah, definitely. Anyone who watched the F1 Rewind today from the 2019 Brazilian Grand Prix, that had 2 laps of green flag action at the end of the race, and we saw how quickly things can change there, where Hamilton and Albon came together, costing Albon his first podium and allowing Gasly and Sainz to get their best results in Formula 1. Paris is on for a debut victory here at FOR. Cassie G is going to get his best result as well with a 4th. Pedro in 5th, and we've still got a lot of racing, I'm sure, in these final couple of laps. I'm not sure I'd want to be in Paris's position here. I think I'd rather be in 2nd place, getting a chance to get that one down towards the first chicane. He's going to have to defend for his life because Josh is in a championship hunt, and he knows how important that extra 7 points could be at the end of the season.
Yeah, it is, and if the 7 points is the difference between winning and losing a championship, people may think that Monza may be the deciding factor. And there we go then, we just had a confirmation from race control that the safety car is in this lap. So this is make or break for all of these drivers. Some of these guys is a second chance to redeem themselves. For Paris now is the chance to keep calm under pressure and make sure that he's going to defend. Whereas Josh and Thomas, they're going to attack. And most crucially, Cassie G, if he pulls up this right, he could potentially get a podium. Yes, a podium after not making it into Q3. I mean, that will be great to get some more points for the Red Bull, as Paris has got, I think, a very good restart once again, but this time he was controlling up front so far. Thomas has got a good restart as well. Josh getting a better restart than he did in the first one. Let's see if he can go for the lunge into turn one. Nope, he thinks better of it at the moment. Cassie G has had an awful restart. Pedro is up into 4th place of this restart. He's had a great start, so the two Renaults doing a phenomenal job so far. A few people have lost positions, a bit of a pile up there, but let's see. Josh is starting to fell foul. He's losing pace at the moment. And there's a spin. There's a spin. Pedro and I think the McLaren came together, and that's Pedro out of this race. I think there's going to be some harsh words from the stewards. I can tell you that. I didn't really see what happened to cause that. I just saw the aftermath of that. But that means that that promotes Kazi up to 4th. Flip-Flop Fish is back on this time position in 5th. Filoni in 6th. And we got a Ferrari in the points.
Yeah, Silence into 7th place at the moment as Flip-Flop Fish gets passed by Loney. It's going to be very interesting to see if the stewards have anything to say about that. I think it was just Pedro went for a bit of a move, and I'm not sure it was really on. Thomas didn't leave him too much space, and he just spun around, a bit similar to what we saw Vettel do on the other side of Hamilton in 2018. But it's Paris Burrell on to the final lap with the fastest lap of the race, 0.6 of a second ahead of Josh, who will not have DRS to do anything about it. So Paris looks as though he could take a victory here. Thomas going to get another podium, defending from Cassie G, who's back up into 4th. Loney got ahead of Flip-Flop Fish, and Westy's in 7th place, but Flip-Flop Fish has gone round. I'm not sure if there was any contact there, but Flip-Flop Fish dropping down the order, so that has put Westy up into 6th position, and the Red Bull right down to the back of the field. Gutting for him, as we've got an Alfa Romeo and a Ferrari going side by side into the chicane at turn 4. Artiero on the inside of Silent Ace, who's had to skip across the chicane. Bit of contact between them. Alan trying to take advantages of that as well. It wouldn't surprise me if we see another car spinning off into the gravel here. Fairhand's back up into 11th. So much happening towards the end of this race. We've got this huge train of cars here from 7th place to 11th, not separated by much. Flip-Flop Fish has gone round again. More yellow flags as now Alan tries to go around the outside of Silent Ace, but nothing doing. So I think they're going to stay as they are for now. Is Josh going to be close enough to have a go into the Parabolica to deny Paris? Not this time around. He started on pole. He dropped outside the top 5, but he has recovered fantastically to take the victory here. Josh in 2nd. Oh, penalties. Yeah, Thomas takes the win.
Yeah, Thomas had no penalties. He was on the cusp of getting one, but Paris and Josh had penalties, whereas Thomas didn't. He was within 3 seconds, and that's what helped him get his very first, actually, it's his 3rd victory in F1. That's insane. We thought Josh was going to get the first person to 3. It's not. This time, it's RLT Thomas.
Yeah, great result from Thomas to take the victory. Paris, he'll be happy with 2nd on his debut, and Josh 3rd. He got that 3-second penalty, and I think he's already talking about getting that removed, so we'll have to see how that spans out. But fantastic, clean job from Thomas in terms of penalties. I wonder if there'll be any repercussions, though, after that incident with Verhan. It definitely looked to me as though there were a couple of taps from the McLaren on the back of the Mercedes, and that is what sent him around. So we'll have to wait and see if anything comes from that. But the provisional results for now is Thomas with the victory, Paris Burrell in 2nd, Josh takes 3rd, Cassie G 4th, Alan 5th, Loney 6th, Westy recovering to 7th in the end, Silent Ace is 8th, Furhan 9th, Artiero 10th, Paulie Orange just missing out on the points in the end with 11th. Jonathan Cox is 12th, Droftas 13th, Ireg 14th, Flip-Flop Fish and Hibilu were the final 2 finishers, and we saw Pedro and Denge in first pillars and Deso all retire. That was an exciting race in the end. We pretty much didn't know who was going to take the victory right until the final point.
And that's what makes good racing here in F1. I mean, you know, usually sometimes people dominating is a good thing, but when 3 or 4 cars on the final few laps are battling for the race victory, it's just great to see, and it's just all about pure.
Yeah, I mean, we had everything. We had weather. I think it was 3 safety car periods plus 2 VSCs, so that's always going to make things interesting. And we'll see if the stewards have anything to say. There were a few incidents I think it's fair to say drivers won't be happy with. So, wouldn't surprise if there's a few qualifying bans and time penalties to come next time around. We're just trying to get the top 3 in for some interviews because I'm sure they'll have plenty to talk about. It was pretty much non-stop action all throughout that race, Jess. And as you said, penalties just giving it to Thomas in the end, only by, I think, 0.3 of a second.
Done it and got the win, but just because Monza is just ever so, like, there's a lot of full pace, you can go full throttle, then there's just no margin for error. It's like Austria as well.
Yeah, I think we're just waiting for everything to settle. So we do have the top 3 from that race. It was Thomas taking his 3rd victory of the season in the McLaren, Paris getting 2nd on his debut, and Josh in 3rd. So we will start with our race winner, Thomas. And I think it's pretty fair to say, Thomas, that was an exciting race for all 3 of you. Were you aware of the fact that Paris and Josh both had penalties ahead of you?
Yeah, I checked actually during the safety car. Other than that, the race, first 8 laps was absolute joke. Had to brake around 200 meters earlier than I had to.
Yeah,
then I had about 2 incidents. One was with a Merc, and the other one was with a Renault, I think with Pedro. Both of them made stupid moves. Yeah. I mean, they can't blame me for the moves they did. They went for such stupid moves. Verheyen, he braked mid-corner, which is why I went into him. So that's why he spun round, and I got damaged consequently because of that. And one with Pedro, he tried to dive up my inside, and I was the car ahead. I had to turn it into the corner, and he just went into me and spun. So
yeah. Obviously recovering to take the victory. You mentioned it was very difficult in that first period of the race when it was very marginal. We were actually looking at Westy's lap times, and he was pretty much matching what the front guys were doing on intermediate tyres. Did you think at any point whether you were going to change to intermediates?
I was already baffled by why we were starting on softs rather than inters, just because as soon as we got underway on the formation lap, it felt horrible already. So this game baffles me by the day.
Still a great job from yourself, as I mentioned, first driver to get 3 wins. Do you still see yourself having a chance of possibly taking the championship? We've still got 7 races to go, of course.
Oh, we shall see. Next few tracks are not so great for me, I have to be honest. So yeah, I'm gonna just have to see how it plays out, I guess.
Yeah, well, great performance tonight, and Paris, 2nd position for yourself. I think you'll have taken that after the carnage that seemed to happen at the first chicane on lap 1.
Yeah, you know, P1 to P2 is not that bad. Yeah, it could have been better, but the carnage after turn 1, I don't even know what happened. I'm pretty sure, just like everyone else, I hit the brakes and the car just did not stop. It's one of them weird situations where the game throws at you mixed conditions, where you're on dry tyres on a wet track. It's just chaos for everyone.
Yeah, I think me and Jess could have done with about 10 different camera angles all at once to capture everything that was happening there. Another pretty hairy moment, I imagine, was that first safety car restart where you ended up actually overtaking both Josh and Thomas. Did the game have to tell you to give that place back? Because I think it was more you taking avoided action rather than going for the overtake.
Unfortunately, I did have to give that back. I mean, I Josh sort of messed up the restart slightly, so he lost traction, and then Thomas had to slow down because obviously he can't overtake. And I'm directly behind Thomas, so I had to just swerve to the outside, otherwise I'm going to crash into Josh or Thomas.
Yeah, and I know you obviously did a great job on the rest of the safety car restarts. Firstly, to set the lead from Josh, and then to defend it, and you got yourself a fastest lap. It's been a pretty happy debut in the end.
Pretty eventful, yeah.
Yeah, great job for yourself to say second. And Josh, I imagine that was a pretty heart-in-mouth moment when, at the end of the first safety car, when you nearly ended up in the wall coming out of Parabolica.
A little bit, yeah. It was just as soon as I changed up to fourth gear, the back end just went, and I thought everyone was going to go into the back of me then, but obviously people went around me and that, so it was alright in the end.
Yeah, you did manage to get a great start as well to the race, nearly taking the lead from Thomas and Paris at the start. You did seem to have good pace in those first few laps. Did you consider at any point maybe going to the intermediates? I mean, we heard Thomas say how tricky it was, and Paris as well saying he had no grip.
Yeah, there was no grip at all, but I was in a party with Westy and he was telling me what times he was doing, so he was going still a bit slower, so it was never going to change over. But that first corner, I don't know what happened. I felt like I got pushed by about 10 people behind me.
Well, I know we saw from our footage, Aylan was pretty much sideways and on the grass well before we'd even got to the corner, and then I think everything pretty much ensued from there. You're now in the lead of the championship with 7 races to go. Paulie Orange finishing outside the points. Westy recovering now. Do you think those are going to be your main 2 rivals? Because obviously now Thomas, he's working his way up now with 3 victories.
Probably, yeah. It depends how Thomas does. He just said he's not that good at the next few tracks, so we'll see.
And how are you feeling about the next few tracks? Singapore, obviously, another one that's pretty much opposite to Monza.
I'm a bit like Thomas, to be honest. I'm not bad at Singapore, but I'd rather not race it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't think too many people would complain if they'd never had to race around Singapore. Jess, do you have anything to add?
I think you pretty much covered most of these. I mean, I wouldn't have predicted that result at the end of the race, I must say. But well done on the win, Thomas, and well done on a fantastic debut, Paris, in your first race as well. And obviously, well done to Josh for getting the podium as well. I mean, you know, very deserving podium sitters, and you know, you kept me and Luke on our toes, I must say, but you guys did really well.
Yeah, cheers to all of the top 3. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week, where hopefully you'll be able to provide some good action again. So thanks for the race, and thanks for joining us for the interviews.
No worries. Cheers.
Yeah, definitely, Jess. A very exciting race. As I mentioned, Josh now, he's in the championship lead, and he'll be feeling pretty confident about being able to hold on to that, especially if he manages to get that penalty removed, because obviously that would give him his 3rd win of the season and be a big boost to his championship hopes, giving him an extra 10 points.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've got to wait for the stewards to decide, of course, and I think there'll be quite a few more stewards reports going in there as well. And Monza usually is the race tends to bring out a lot of inquiries as well, so we'll have to wait and see what happens, and the viewers won't find out, of course, the outcomes of that until the next race in a week's time in Singapore.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we spend that Q1 session in Singapore pretty much just discussing all the different penalties from this race, or all the different incidents. Obviously, anything that has 5 safety car periods of changeable conditions like that, always interesting. And Singapore is definitely not a favourite track of the drivers. Pretty much an endurance race quite often, especially if it rains. We see league races, even 50% ones, go well over an hour. So with a full qualifying session as well, it's definitely going to be a bit of a test of mental stamina for these drivers.
Yeah, endurance is, I think, Keeks obviously, there's a lot of laps, 31, the longest race on the calendar too, and I mean, it's one of the hardest races for some of these guys, but I know some people prefer this street circuit more than the other street circuits, so for some of them this will be redemption, and for some of them they just want to get it over with and try and score as many points as they possibly can. And and some of these guys, they just want to finish after what happened in Italy this week.
Yeah, definitely. I think there'll be a few drivers hoping for redemption next time out. So thank you so much, Jess, for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed your FOR debut in the Combox. Definitely an exciting race to turn up to.
Yeah, I'm very enjoying myself, and thank you guys for inviting me.
No problem whatsoever. Thank you also to our sponsors. There's Mixed Energy. You can check them out in the description below and use the code FOR2020 to get 10% off. There is also Player One Coffee. They've got a discount code in the description as well if you follow the link. But most importantly, thank you all to you guys for joining me and Jess tonight. I hope you found it as enjoyable as we did. And the pair of us will be back next Saturday for the Singapore Grand Prix. I will be taking charge of the F2 action again on the Tuesday, and that is from the Sochi Autodrome. So hopefully I'll see you guys on one of those occasions. But thank you so much for watching tonight, and good night.